Kale, the human warrior, stood on the landing platform of the alien city. Tall spires of metal and glass surrounded him, glinting under the pale light of the planet's sun. He had traveled across star systems many times, but this planet, Jarketh, felt different. It was full of strange colors, sharp shapes, and a sense of danger hidden under its beauty. The leaders of the planet's dominant clan awaited him. They were tall, with silver-blue skin and eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. Kyle had been summoned not as a fighter, but as a mediator. A conflict between two rival clans threatened to ignite a war that could spill into the neighboring systems. He was here to negotiate peace. "Human warrior," said the eldest leader, his voice echoing slightly in Kale's helmet comm. "We honor you with a gift for your service to our people." Kale straightened, cautious. He had learned long ago that gifts from alien leaders were rarely simple. From the shadows of the landing hall, two figures stepped forward. They were female aliens, smaller than the leaders, with delicate features and long, braided hair that shimmered in the light. One had green eyes like the jungles of her world. The other had golden eyes that sparkled like desert sands. Their posture was tense, guarded, and defiant. "These are Lyra and Nema," the leader continued. "They have been trained to serve. They are yours." Kale's brow furrowed. The word serve hung heavily in the air. He saw the hesitation and fear in the girl's eyes. They were not gifts to him. They were captives. "I do not take gifts that are living beings," Kyle said firmly, stepping forward. "I do not accept slavery." The leaders exchanged glances. One laughed softly. "You are human. You do not understand our ways. They are trained, obedient, and useful. You will find them helpful." Lyra's green eyes narrowed, and Nema's golden gaze flicked to Kale. Neither spoke, but Kale could feel their silent questions. They had been treated as property all their lives, yet there was a spark in their eyes. He recognized it. It was the spark of intelligence, of skill, and of a mind that had never truly been free. Kale took off his helmet and stepped closer. I'm not here to take anyone's freedom, but I will protect anyone who cannot protect themselves. If you want to come with me, it will be because you choose to, not because someone gives you away." The leaders scoffed, but Kyle ignored them. He extended a hand toward the girls. Lyra hesitated, then took a cautious step. Nema followed, but her posture remained stiff, ready to run if needed. "You will have food, water, and safety," Kyle said gently. "And if you want to leave, I will take you wherever you wish. Do you understand?" Lyra nodded slightly, while Nema's golden eyes held a flicker of hope. For the first time, someone saw them as people, not property. The leaders frowned. "This is not how it works," one said. "They are not yours to choose. They are ours to command." Kyle's voice hardened. "Then you will not see them again. I will not return them to anyone who treats them as less than themselves." A tense silence followed. The leaders knew Kyle's reputation. He was a warrior who never broke his word and never backed down. For now, they stayed silent. The journey back to Kale's ship was quiet. The girls did not speak much, but Kale could feel their tension. The ship was human-designed, sleek and fast. It hummed softly as it lifted off the landing platform. Outside the window, the alien city grew smaller, fading into the horizon. Once they were alone in the ship's cabin, Kale finally spoke again. "I know this is strange. You've been told all your lives that you have no choice, but you do. You are not gifts. You are not property. You are free to make your own decisions." Lyra finally looked at him, her voice soft but cautious. "Why are you helping us? Why not just take us like they want?" Kale gave a small smile. "Because I don't fight to take what doesn't belong to me. I fight to protect, to help, and To be better than the fear in the universe. You two have talents. You should not be trapped by others' greed or cruelty. Nima's lips pressed into a thin line. We are not used to kindness, she said quietly. It is strange. Kyle chuckled lightly. Then let it feel strange for a while. You will get used to it, and you are not alone anymore. The ship's sensors beeped, signaling their approach to a neutral spaceport where they could safely dock. Kyle showed Lyra and Nima the controls, the navigation systems, and the defense protocols. They were quick learners, and their eyes lit up as they understood how the ship could move and defend itself. For the first time in their lives, the girls were not being commanded. They were being trusted. Kale watched them with a mixture of pride and relief. As the ship descended toward the spaceport, Kale felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. These girls were not just survivors. They were potential allies, thinkers, and fighters. And if he could help them embrace their freedom, together they could face dangers no one expected. The doors of the spaceport opened, welcoming them into a bustling hub of different alien species. Kale knew the journey ahead would be full of challenges, but he also knew this: no matter the danger, he would not allow anyone to take away the freedom he had just given Lyra and Nima, and for the first time in their lives, the girls felt a small, fragile hope. A hope that they could choose their own path, alongside a human who fought not to conquer, but to protect. The spaceport was alive with noise. Ships of every shape and size glided through the docking bays, their engines humming and whirring. Aliens of countless kinds moved through the corridors, their colors and forms dazzling to the eye. Kyle led, Lyra and Nima carefully, keeping an alert gaze on everyone around them. They watch us like we are prey, Nima whispered, her golden eyes scanning the crowd. Kale nodded. Some might, but we keep our heads, stay calm, and we will be fine. You two are stronger than you realize. Lyra frowned. Stronger? We are just trying to survive. Kale smiled gently. Survival is strength, and you already have it. You just need to trust it. The girls were still learning that not all humans, or allies, wanted to control them. Kale's respect and patience were foreign concepts, but slowly they began to notice it. He treated their opinions as important, allowed them to explore the ship, and encouraged them to ask questions. Their first challenge came quickly. While they were moving through a crowded docking bay, a group of alien bounty hunters appeared. They were heavily armored, moving with precision, their weapons aimed at Lyra and Nima. "Those are the ones!" one shouted. "The property of Jarketh! Return them now!" Kale stepped in front of the girls, his stance wide and unyielding. His hand rested on the hilt of his energy blade, ready. "They are not your property," he said calmly but firmly. "Step back." The bounty hunters laughed. "You are alone against us, human. Surrender the girls or face death." Lyra's green eyes glimmered with a mix of fear and determination. "We are not children," she shouted. "We can fight too." Kyle raised an eyebrow. "Then show me what you've got." In a blur of movement, the bounty hunters attacked. Kale's blade moved with deadly precision, deflecting energy blasts and striking with calculated force. But Lyra and Nima surprised him. Lyra leaped onto a low platform, grabbing a small control panel, and manipulated the energy flow in the docking bay. Lights flickered, doors slammed, and a wall of energy blocked some of the attackers. Nima, agile and clever, grabbed loose cables and wires, tossing them toward the bounty hunters. Sparks flew, creating confusion. The humans and aliens who watched froze in astonishment. These slaves were not weak. Kale smiled despite the danger. "I said you are stronger than you realize." The bounty hunters hesitated, their confidence shaken. Kale used the moment to push forward, his movements swift and precise. Within minutes, the attackers retreated, leaving Kale, Lyra, and Nima standing together amid sparks and smoke. Breathing heavily, Nima looked at Kale. How did you fight like that? Kale wiped sweat from his brow. Experience, but also understanding. You fight best when you know who you are protecting. Today it was you. Lyra looked at him, her green eyes filled with admiration. You really see us, don't you? I see people, Kale said simply. Not slaves, not gifts. People. The girls exchanged a glance. They were not used to being treated as equals. The feeling was strange, yes, but also powerful. Kale guided them toward the central docking area, away from the eyes of the bounty hunters. The city outside the spaceport stretched into the horizon, alien and beautiful. Floating platforms connected. Towering buildings and flying vehicles zipped between them. You will need to learn quickly, Kyle said. Other alien groups might try the same thing, or worse. We have to stay ready. Lyra nodded. Then teach us. If we are to survive, we must fight too. Nima clenched her fists. And we will. We will not be returned to them. Kyle felt a surge of pride. These two, once thought powerless, were now standing strong by his side. They had seen what humans could do, and they were ready to fight. Not because someone forced them, but because they chose to. As the trio walked through the bustling spaceport, Kale explained the basics of diplomacy and navigation. You need to understand their languages, their habits, and their weaknesses, he said. Not just to fight, but to survive. Knowledge is just as important as strength. Lyra and Nima listened carefully. They were eager to learn, their minds sharp and quick. Kyle realized that these girls had been trained their whole lives to obey, but now they were learning to think for themselves. Suddenly, alarms blared. A small shuttle carrying unknown passengers was speeding toward the port, veering dangerously close to the docking lanes. Kale acted instantly. He grabbed a nearby control console and redirected the shuttle away from civilians. Lyra pointed to a malfunctioning gate. If we can reroute the energy, it will slow them down. Nima followed her instructions, her hands moving quickly across the controls. The shuttle wobbled but was stopped just in time, avoiding a crash. Kyle looked at the girls, astonished. I am impressed. You two are natural problem solvers, Lyra smiled faintly. We've always had to solve problems. We just never had anyone to help us before. Kyle nodded. And now you do. And together we can handle anything. A moment of calm did not last long. Kale knew the bounty hunters would not give up easily. Other alien factions would notice the human warrior protecting these girls. The spaceport, though neutral, could become a battlefield if they were careless. But, for now, Kale allowed himself a small sense of satisfaction. He had won the first challenge, not just through strength, but by trusting Lyra and Nima to use their minds and skills. As night fell over the alien city, the three of them stood on a platform overlooking the lights below. Lyra and Nima's faces reflected a mixture of awe, determination, and newfound hope. Kyle placed a reassuring hand on each of their shoulders. Tomorrow we plan our next move, he said. But tonight, remember this. You are free to choose your path, and I will walk it with you. For the first time in their lives, Lyra and Nima felt a fragile yet powerful sense of independence. They were no longer just property or tools. They were allies, they were survivors, and together with Kale, they were ready to face whatever dangers the galaxy held. The stars stretched endlessly around Kale's ship as it cruised through deep space. Lyra and Nima had grown more comfortable with the controls, their confidence rising with every system they learned. The once fearful expressions on their faces were replaced with determination. They were no longer simply passengers. They were becoming capable partners. Kale watched them quietly from the cockpit. You two are picking this up faster than I expected, he said. Soon, you'll be helping make important decisions. Lyra's green eyes sparkled. We want to help not just follow orders. Nima added, "We want to protect ourselves, and you." Kale smiled. "Good. That's exactly how it should be." Their journey took them to a quiet sector near an asteroid belt. The stars reflected in the smooth, metallic surfaces of the ship, giving the interior a soft glow. Kale had been scanning for information about the rival warlord who controlled their home planet systems. He hoped to understand any threats before they arrived. As the ship floated silently among the stars, Lyra's eyes lit up. She was examining a console when she noticed unusual data streams from nearby asteroids. "Kale," she said cautiously, "there's a signal coming from that belt. It's encrypted, but it's large, like a hidden facility." Nima leaned over her shoulder, her golden eyes scanning the data. "It could be a weapons factory, or something worse. They're trying to hide it from normal sensors." Kyle narrowed his eyes. "If this is true, it could be the source of the warlord's power. We need to investigate, but carefully. No rash moves." The trio suited up and moved in a small shuttle toward the asteroid belt. The facility they found was massive, built into a rocky cliff, with strange energy shields flickering around it. Towers and turrets jutted from the surface, scanning the skies. "This place is built to intimidate anyone who comes close," Kale said, observing. "We need to be clever. Lyra, Nima, can you find a way inside without alerting them?" Lyra nodded. "I can hack the outer security grid, but we'll need a distraction." Nima smiled faintly. "Leave that to me. I've been studying alien defense patterns. I can create one." Working together, the girls executed their plan flawlessly. Lyra tapped the console, sending false signals to confuse the facility's sensors. Nima maneuvered the shuttle to trigger harmless energy flares, drawing attention away from the entrance. Kyle watched with pride. These two, once treated as weak, were now orchestrating a sophisticated operation. Once inside, they found a labyrinth of corridors filled with strange machines and devices. The air was thick with the hum of energy and the scent of metal. Lyra's fingers danced across alien panels, bypassing security doors with ease. Nima analyzed the structure, guiding them toward the central chamber. Finally, they reached a large room dominated by a glowing orb hovering above the floor. Kale stepped closer, his senses alert. The orb pulsed with energy, and lines of power ran through the floor into smaller devices all around the room. "What is this?" Nima whispered. Lyra's green eyes widened. "This is a power core. It's controlling the entire weapons network of the warlord. If he activates it, he could dominate multiple systems." Kale clenched his fists. "We can't let that happen. We need to disable it, but carefully. One wrong move and the whole place could explode." The girls nodded. Working together, they began analyzing the alien technology. Lyra's mind moved quickly, finding weak points in the core's structure. Nima coordinated the energy flows, rerouting them to prevent overloads. Kyle provided security, fending off automated drones that patrolled the corridors. "This is incredible," Kale said quietly. "I didn't realize how skilled you two really are." Lyra glanced at him. "We had to survive. We learned fast, but no one ever gave us a chance to use it fully." Kyle felt a deep respect for them. Their talents were not just technical, they were brave, clever, and resilient. These girls, once considered powerless, were now vital allies in a dangerous galaxy. After tense moments of work and careful adjustments, they managed to disable the core's main output. The glowing orb dimmed, and the machines around them powered down. The warlord's weapons network was no longer a threat, at least for now. Kale exhaled, relief washing over him. "Good work. You both did perfectly." Nima's golden eyes shone with pride. "We did it together." Lyra smiled faintly. "For the first time, I feel like we're more than what they said we were. We have a purpose, and we choose it ourselves." Kyle placed a hand on their shoulders. "That is the key. Freedom is more than just leaving someone behind. It's about making your own choices and standing up for them. The girls looked at each other and then at Kale. They felt a bond forming, stronger than any fear or doubt. Together they had faced danger, solved problems, and proven their value, not as slaves but as warriors and thinkers. As they left the facility, the stars reflected in their eyes. The galaxy was full of dangers, but also full of possibilities. Kyle piloted the shuttle with care, ensuring their escape was safe. Behind them, the asteroid facility remained silent, its energy dampened, unable to threaten anyone again. For now. "Kyle," Lyra said softly. "What now?" Kale smiled. "Now we rest. But soon we continue. There will be more threats, more challenges, and together we will face them. You two are no longer just survivors. You are part of something greater." Nima's lips curved into a small smile. "I think I finally understand what it means to be free, and to fight for that freedom." Kale nodded. "Good. That understanding will keep you alive and strong. Remember, the galaxy doesn't forgive weakness, but it respects courage. Skill and wisdom, you have all three now." As the ship moved through the silent, glowing stars, Kale watched Lyra and Nima studying the ship's systems, learning, planning, and dreaming. They were no longer captives or pawns. They were allies, friends, and warriors in their own right. And Kale knew that the bond they shared would be the key to surviving the dangers ahead. For the first time, the trio looked to the future with hope and determination. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders alike, and they were ready to face it together. Kale's ship moved silently through the void of space, carrying Lyra and Nima closer to the warlord's stronghold. The asteroid facility they had discovered earlier was just the beginning. Intelligence reports suggested the warlord had a massive fleet hidden in a nearby system, and he was preparing to expand his control over multiple star systems. "We need a plan," Kale said as he studied the holographic map of the warlord's territory. "Rushing in blindly will get us killed." Lyra leaned over the controls. "We can use what we learned at the asteroid base. If we disrupt their energy cores and weapon systems, we might be able to weaken his fleet before he attacks," Maitier added. "And I can create a diversion. If we can draw part of the fleet away, we can reduce the risk to ourselves." Kale nodded. "Good. You two have proven yourselves already. We'll need that skill now more than ever." As they approached the outer edges of the system, the warlord's fleet appeared. Hundreds of ships, black and angular, moved in perfect formation. Their engines glowed red, reflecting the cold light of the nearby star. Kale's jaw tightened. This was larger than anything he had anticipated. "This is it," he said. "Stay focused, stay calm, and remember what you've learned." Lyra and Nima checked their equipment one last time. Lyra's fingers danced across the control panel, rerouting energy to the shields and weapons. Nima analyzed the enemy formation, predicting where the warlord's ships would move next. Suddenly, the fleet fired a warning salvo. Energy beams streaked past Kale's ship, missing by mere meters. "They know we're here," Kale said. "Get ready!" The trio moved as one. Kale piloted the ship with precise skill, dodging blasts and weaving through the asteroid field. Lyra fired back, targeting weak points in the warlord's ships. Nima used her clever tactics to create temporary energy disruptions, confusing the enemy and making it difficult for them to aim accurately. Despite the chaos, Kale noticed something troubling. "This is too easy," he muttered. "They are letting us survive too much." Lyra's green eyes widened. "You think it's a trap?" Kale's hand tightened on the controls. "Yes. Be ready for anything." And then it came. A massive warship, larger than the others, emerged from behind an asteroid. Its hull bristled with heavy weapons, and its energy shields pulsed with power. It cut off their escape route. The warlord had been waiting for them all along. Kyle's voice was steady but firm. Lyra, Nema, we fight together. Trust your skills and trust me. Lyra nodded. She focused on hacking the warship's shield systems while Kale engaged it head-on. Nema maneuvered the ship in sharp, unpredictable patterns, using the asteroid field for cover. The warship fired relentlessly, but the trio's teamwork kept them alive. Kale's blade extended, glowing bright. In zero gravity, he moved with precision, disabling external weapons and cutting through reinforced panels. Lyra's hacking caused the shields to flicker, giving Kale the openings he needed. Nema's diversions forced the enemy to split its fire, buying precious seconds. For a moment, the battle seemed impossible. The warlord's ship was heavily armored, and their smaller vessel was under constant attack. Yet Kale never wavered. "We are not just surviving, we are winning this fight," he shouted. The girls worked faster, their confidence growing with each success. Lyra directed power surges into the enemy ship's engines, while Nema created false energy signatures that drew its weapons away. Kale struck with perfect timing, targeting weak points revealed by Lyra's hacking. Finally, with a coordinated strike, the warlord's ship shuddered and faltered. Energy cores overloaded, and the massive vessel drifted helplessly in space. The remaining ships, seeing their leader's flagship disabled, hesitated. Kyle did not let them recover. "Now!" he yelled. Lyra and Nema joined him, using every skill they had learned to disable the remaining ships without unnecessary destruction. The warlord's fleet scattered, retreating into the darkness of space. Breathing heavily, Kyle looked at the girls. "You did it. Together." Lyra's green eyes shone with pride. "We actually did it. We stopped them." Nema's golden gaze met Kale's. "And we survived. We fought, and we were equal in this." Kale smiled. "That's the key. You two are no longer just survivors. You are warriors. You make your own choices, and you fight for them." As the adrenaline faded, Kale piloted the ship to a hidden asteroid base nearby, where they could regroup and repair. The battle had tested them all, not just physically, but mentally. It had shown them the value of trust, teamwork, and quick thinking under pressure. Sitting together in the quiet of the repaired cabin, Kyle looked at Lyra and Nema. "You've grown stronger than I imagined. But the galaxy is full of challenges. The warlord may have lost this battle, but he is not finished. We need to stay ready." Lyra leaned back, a small smile on her face. "I think we can handle it. We've learned so much already." Nema nodded. "And we know we can rely on each other. Not as slaves, but as equals." Kyle's heart swelled with pride. These girls, once considered powerless, had proven themselves in the harshest circumstances. They were no longer afraid, no longer controlled by the expectations of others. They had discovered their strength and their courage, and they had done it together. Looking out the viewport at the stars stretching endlessly ahead, Kyle knew their journey was far from over. The warlord had been defeated, but the galaxy was full of dangers. And yet, he felt a rare sense of hope. With Lyra and Nema by his side, he could face anything. The three of them prepared for the next stage of their mission, ready to confront new threats and navigate the challenges ahead. They were a team now, united by trust, skill, and the shared understanding that freedom was not given, but earned and defended. For the first time, Kale, Lyra, and Nema looked at the galaxy not with fear, but with determination. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, and they would not fail. The quiet of space did not last long. Kyle, Lyra, and Nema knew that the warlord's retreat was only temporary. Intelligence reports confirmed what Kyle had feared. The warlord was regrouping, repairing his fleet, and preparing to strike again. With greater force. "We need to be ready," Kyle said as he studied the holographic map of the approaching enemy forces. They will not underestimate us a second time. Lyra's green eyes narrowed. Then we won't give them the chance. We've learned from our last fight. We know their weaknesses, Nema added, and this time we can plan a trap of our own. Not just react, we go on the offense. Kyle nodded. Exactly. We fight smart, we fight together. That's how we win. The trio piloted their ship to a strategic location near a dense asteroid field. The jagged rocks created natural cover, perfect for ambushing the warlord's fleet. Kale had studied their formation patterns, and Lyra and Nema contributed ideas to improve their chances. As the enemy fleet approached, their ships glinted like a swarm of black stars against the void. Kale's ship remained hidden among the asteroids, nearly invisible. Lyra adjusted the ship's energy systems, preparing to overload the enemy sensors at the right moment. Nema calculated the best angles to manipulate their weapons while keeping the ship safe. Ready? Kale asked. Lyra and Nema nodded. Ready, they said in unison. The first wave of enemy ships entered the asteroid field. Lyra triggered a series of energy pulses, causing the warlord's sensors to flicker. Ships slowed and swerved, unsure of where the threat was coming from. Nema used the confusion to her advantage. I can guide our ship through a narrow path. We can hit their flanks while staying hidden, Kyle grinned. Do it. The ship darted through the narrow passageways, weaving around asteroids with perfect precision. Lyra targeted the enemy engines with careful blasts, disabling several ships without destroying them completely. Nema directed the movements, creating diversions and forcing the enemy into collisions with the asteroids. For the first time, the warlord's fleet began to lose its discipline. Ships collided, engines overheated, and energy shields failed. Kale seized the opportunity. He fired bursts of energy from the ship's main cannons, hitting critical points in the enemy formation. Lyra and Nema worked in perfect sync, anticipating Kale's moves and coordinating their attacks. They had become more than students. They were partners. Every calculation, every maneuver was executed flawlessly. This is incredible, Kyle said, ducking as a stray energy blast hit the side of the ship. You two have become masters of this craft. Lyra smiled, a hint of pride in her eyes. We had a good teacher. Nema laughed softly. And a good reason to survive. We've learned that we can fight and win together. The warlord, watching from his command ship, realized his fleet was faltering. He launched a massive counterattack, directing heavy fire toward Kale's position. The trio's ship shook under the force of the energy blasts. Kale gritted his teeth. Hold steady! Don't panic! Lyra and Nema remained calm. Lyra manipulated the ship's energy output, redistributing power to shields at the exact moments needed. Nema calculated precise maneuvers, guiding Kale around the heaviest fire. The warlord's fleet, though larger, was now confused and divided. Kyle saw his chance. We hit their flagship together. Lyra, weaken the shields. Nema, guide us close. Enough for a direct strike. Both girls nodded. In perfect coordination, they executed the plan. Lyra's hacking caused the flagship's shields to flicker and drop, while Nema's guidance allowed Kale to approach without being detected by the remaining sensors. With one final push, Kale unleashed a concentrated blast at the flagship. The massive ship shuddered, its systems failing one by one. The remaining fleet scattered in panic, leaving their leader vulnerable. The flagship drifted helplessly, no longer a threat. Kyle's ship hovered nearby, and Lyra and Nema monitored every system to ensure the enemy could not recover. We did it, Kyle said quietly, letting himself breathe for the first time in hours. Lyra's green eyes shone. We actually did it. Together. Nema smiled. And we survived. We weren't just following orders. We made choices, and they worked. Kale looked at both of them, pride and respect shining in his eyes. This is what it means to be a team. We fight together, think together, and survive together. You two are no longer slaves of anyone, not the warlord, not anyone else. You are equals, and you've proven it today. The three of them took a moment to enjoy the calm after the battle. The galaxy stretched out before them, vast and full of possibilities. Kale knew that the warlord might regroup again, but the bond between them was now unbreakable. They had faced overwhelming odds and survived, stronger than ever. As the ship moved away from the battlefield, Kale spoke again. The galaxy is dangerous. There will always be threats. But remember this, you two have the skills, the courage, and the freedom to face anything. We are not just surviving. We are shaping our own destiny. Lyra and Nema exchanged a glance. For the first time, they felt a deep sense of confidence and control. They were no longer merely escaping danger. They were warriors, strategists, and equal partners in a human-led mission that stretched across the stars. The ship sailed through the starlit void, silent except for the hum of engines. Kale, Lyra, and Nema prepared for the challenges ahead, ready to confront any danger the galaxy would throw at them. For the first time, all three felt it clearly: the freedom to choose, the courage to fight, and the strength of unity. They were rising together, unstoppable and unafraid. The warlord's fleet had been defeated today, but the universe was vast. Other dangers awaited, and Kale knew, with these two by his side, they could face any challenge, together. The warlord's flagship loomed ahead, dark and menacing against the backdrop of the glowing stars. Kyle, Lyra, and Nema's ship glided silently through the void, moving closer to the heart of the enemy territory. This was the final confrontation. The warlord had rebuilt his forces and intended to expand his control over more systems. But Kale knew this time they were ready. Lyra checked the ship's systems one last time. All weapons and shields are ready. I've mapped the enemy fleet and identified weak points. If we hit them precisely, we can disable most of their ships before they even realize what's happening. Nema nodded. I've set up energy diversions and false signals. Their sensors will be confused. They won't know where we are until it's too late. Kale's jaw tightened. Good. Remember, this fight is not just about strength. It's about skill, strategy, and teamwork. Trust each other, and we win. As they approached, the warlord's fleet surged toward them. Hundreds of ships moved in perfect formation, energy beams lighting the void as if the stars themselves were exploding. Kale's ship remained hidden, darting among asteroids and using shadows to avoid detection. Lyra's fingers flew across the control panel. Now, trigger the diversions! Instantly, the warlord's sensors became chaotic. Ships collided with each other or with asteroids. Energy shields flickered and failed, giving Kale perfect openings. Kale shouted over the comms, "Attack together! Focus on the flagship first!" Lyra and Nema executed the plan flawlessly. Lyra hacked into the enemy's systems, weakening shields and redirecting energy to create instability. Nema maneuvered the ship with sharp precision, dodging blasts and positioning them for maximum impact. Kyle engaged the flagship directly, his blade glowing as it extended. In zero gravity, he moved like a predator, striking at critical points and disabling the ship's weapons one by one. Sparks flew, and alarms rang through the enemy vessel, but Kale pressed on. The warlord appeared on the command deck, his eyes wide with fury. "You dare defy me, human? I will destroy you." Kale ignored the threat. "Your reign of control ends now. You will not harm anyone else, and you will not enslave anyone again." With Lyra and Nema's support, Kale delivered a final, precise strike that disabled the flagship's energy core. The massive vessel shuddered and fell silent, drifting powerless. The remaining ships of the warlord's fleet, seeing their leader defeated, began to scatter and retreat. Lyra leaned back in her seat, breathing heavily. "We did it. We actually did it." Nema's golden eyes reflected relief and pride. "We fought, we made choices, And we won. Together. Kale smiled at them. Exactly. Freedom is not given. It is defended. And today, you both defended it brilliantly. The three of them docked at a nearby neutral station, greeted by representatives of other systems who had been monitoring the battle. Kale explained the situation, emphasizing the girls' bravery and skill. Every word confirmed what Kale already knew. They were no longer captives, no longer pawns. They were heroes. Lyra and Nema stepped forward, their posture confident. For the first time in their lives, Lyra spoke, her voice steady. We are free. We choose our own paths now. No one else can decide for us. Nema added, we will continue to fight, to protect, and to explore. We owe no one obedience except to ourselves and those we choose to trust. Kale's chest swelled with pride. The girls had grown beyond their past, embracing their abilities, their freedom, and their courage. They had become equals in every sense, warriors, thinkers, and leaders. The neutral representatives looked astonished. We have never seen such skill and unity in anyone, alien or human, one said. Your actions will inspire change across the galaxy. Kyle nodded. It is not about power. It is about respect, trust, and choice. Anyone can achieve greatness if they are given freedom and the chance to fight for it. Later, aboard Kale's ship, the trio celebrated quietly. They had faced unimaginable danger, relied on each other, and succeeded. The galaxy still held threats, but they were no longer afraid. They had proven themselves, and they had done it together. Lyra smiled at Kale. Thank you for trusting us, for seeing us as more than what others called us. Kale shook his head. No, thank you. You taught me as much as I taught you. You showed me courage, intelligence, and determination. You are no longer just part of my mission. You are part of my team, my family in a way. Nema's golden eyes softened. We will not forget this. We will continue to be strong together. As they looked out at the stars, Kale, Lyra, and Nema felt a sense of hope and possibility. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but they were ready. They had learned that strength alone was not enough. They needed trust, courage, and unity. Kale set a course for the neutral system, where they could regroup and plan for the future. There will always be challenges, he said. But whatever comes, we face it together. Freedom is our right, and we will protect it. Lyra and Nema nodded in agreement. For the first time, they felt truly free, not just from the warlord, but from fear, doubt, and the chains of the past. They had choices, and they had each other. The ship sailed through the glittering stars, carrying three warriors who had proven that courage, skill, and unity could change the course of the galaxy. Kale knew that their story was only beginning. For the first time, Lyra and Nema smiled without hesitation. They were free. They were strong. And they were ready to face whatever the universe had in store. Together, Kale, Lyra, and Nema had not only defeated a warlord. They had rewritten their destinies. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a new team, one bound by respect, courage, and the unbreakable spirit of freedom. And as the stars stretched endlessly ahead, one truth was clear. The future belonged to those who fought for it together.